This is an area of Bangkok with so much history that it's been completely overwhelming these last few days, so you'll have to bear with me as I try to get around as much as possible and explain it all in the simplest way I can. We've also got a couple of night walks planned, so there's plenty of excitement to keep us occupied for the next 15 or 20 minutes. So welcome to the old city. In the old days, you had to come into the old city through one of the old city gates, and this one in particular would have been quite scary if you were up to no good, because the eyes would have been watching you from Fort Mahakan. This monument was built to celebrate the Siamese Revolution of 1932, and walking past or driving past, even to this day, still a spectacular sight. The Royal Rattanakosin Hotel, in a nice regal yellow colour, since 1946 when it was built. And I would imagine if you're staying in one of those rooms at the front, you get a lovely view of this area in the morning on your balcony. I took the liberty of checking a few prices online because I thought it might be a little bit pricey because of its royal connection, but surprisingly it's not that expensive at all. But I wouldn't check in just yet, as it's being used for a quarantine facility. A long time ago, before the Pra Pinklao Bridge was built, there used to be a lot less traffic around here, and the old city moat used to go all the way to the river. The last bridge before the river was called Chalerm Sawan 58, and it was quite famous. But it's just I got some shrimp out of the old Klang Canal. This was the location of the Sapan Chalerm Sawan 58 bridge. It linked Pra Pinklao Road to Ratchadomnoen Road. Trams also ran across it. It was dismantled in 1971 to make way for the Pra Pinklao Bridge. When they dismantled this bridge in 1971, there's an urban legend about the old royal insignia that was on the old bridge falling into the river and never being recovered. There were also rumours of treasure hunters going down to try and recover it, but I would imagine the concrete foundations they built for the new bridge back then would have definitely swallowed up anything on the riverbed. But you never know. I'm no diver anyway, so don't look at me. The Pra Pinklao Bridge was named after Prince Pinklao, and during construction there were fears from local residents about the foundations undermining the structures of old buildings in the old city. It was almost called Tar Chang Bridge, named after the Tar Chang Royal Pier, which is just under the bridge over there, but at the last minute they changed the name to Pra Pinklao Bridge, and just in time for the Prime Minister to unveil it in September 1973. One casualty of this construction was the complete covering up of the old Klang Canal and Old City Moat from here all the way to the Pan Pipop Lila Bridge. It used to be out in the open, of course, until the approach road was built, but that's modernisation for you. And you get a glimpse of the old Klang Canal before it disappears under the street and comes out by the river there. So when the Pra Pinklao Bridge was built, there was a massive rearrangement of the road layout around here. Let's have a look on the other side. So the bridge itself is pretty much still intact here from 1906, and the Klang from here continues to flow as the old city moat. I think you'd agree with me when I say that the three biggest attractions in this area that people come to see are the Grand Palace, Wat Phrakaew and Wat Pho. I made this little video to tell you all about them. It was not far from here when I just got off the boat with a friend of mine. I was showing him around Bangkok, and we were approached by a man who walked towards us doing that, as if to say, what time is it? And he came up, he said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to show my friend the temples and the Grand Palace and Wat Pho. He goes, oh, do you know the Grand Palace is closed now? I said, well, what about all these other people walking towards the Grand Palace? He goes, oh, they don't know, but I'm telling you, I can take you to a bigger and better temple. I thought, well, not one that I've read in the guidebooks, surely. And then he said, my car is over here. And we just made our excuses and walked away. But that was the first time I ever heard of the massive Grand Palace's closed scam. And you hear of people being taken for rides in tuk-tuks or cars and taken to gem stores or jewellery shops to get ripped off, basically. And I'm wondering, how dumb have you got to be to fall for that? But it still exists. Obviously not at the moment, given the current situation, but let's hope it doesn't come back. I don't have a route planned for this night walk. I've got nothing scribbled on a scrap of paper, but I thought where better to start than the old city gate here at Mahakan intersection. We'll follow part of the old city wall along Mahachai Road and then just see how it goes. This is the Samran Rat intersection, and I've gone and got myself a bit sidetracked with all the street food on offer over there. It's packed with people sitting around eating and standing around waiting as well. And I got myself some extra hot sweet chili sauce. Anyway, onwards and upwards, let's go. Now what puzzles me here is that there are kids skateboarding directly underneath it. I thought it was some kind of religious thing that needed to be respected, but kids nowadays, they've got no respect. I'm at the top of Bang Mung Roang Road. This is the Chong Rong Si intersection. The bridge is just over there. That goes over the old moat. The building you can see is the Ministry of Defence, and it's amazing how a lot of these official buildings look so much more attractive at night when there's no one around and all the lights are up. And this is as far as we're going. This is the Chalerm Sawan Road Bridge over the old moat. And what we're going to do now is double back along Atsadang Road, heading towards Sanam Luang. So this is the famous open space known as Sanam Luang. It's used for gatherings, picnics, sports activities, demonstrations sometimes, and of course kite flying. I was just talking to a guy. He says a lot more activities go on after dark around here, so pending my girlfriend's approval, I'll be back when the sun goes down. You know what the first thing is that came into my mind when I saw that? Blinded by the Light by ELO. Classic tune. That's the World War I Volunteer Memorial. It was commissioned in 1919 by King Rama VI. It contains the ashes and all the names of the volunteer soldiers who travelled to Europe during World War I to represent the Allies. Do you know, that is a damn shame. There's a lot of refurbishment going on around here at the moment, and the National Museum of Bangkok was always great value. You actually got 3 exhibitions rolled into one museum: Fine Arts and Ethnology, History of Art and Archaeology, Thai National History. Anyway, onwards and upwards. Let's go across the road and see if the National Gallery is open. Well, you couldn't make it up. The National Gallery is also closed for refurbishment, but as I'm here, I will tell you a little bit about it. It's in a building that used to house the Royal Mint until 1974, and then it closed. The Royal Mint then donated the building to the Fine Arts Department, and in 1977 the National Gallery was opened, and they've been wowing people with such fantastic exhibitions. I'm going to show you some pictures of those exhibitions, and you'll see why I'm so angry and not being able to go in and have a look around. Well, not so much angry, more inconvenienced. Anyway, let's go and check out the Grand Palace. That better not be closed. And yes, let's not forget the National Theatre. They are famous for putting on the old-fashioned dance dramas with the actors and actresses in traditional costumes and masks. And it's a tradition that goes back to the Ayutthaya period. And despite the appearance, this building was only opened in 1965. One thing I've noticed in the short space of time I've been around here is that about 3 people altogether have looked towards me and noticed that I'm around, and then just quickly looked away, which is the opposite of what I thought would happen. As I got to the main canal bridge, there were food stalls, garbage, dogs, people hanging around selling things. Some of the things I noticed being sold were household goods, so I'm assuming a lot of these people got made homeless or have had to sell their own personal belongings just to get by. As you walk further down Soy Buranarat, you notice quite a few nice buildings left to go to waste, like the apartment building being overgrown by plants and bushes. It's a weird thing to see. This area is not a pretty sight, but I don't fear for my safety. It's an established community around here, and a couple of people were telling me that everyone knows each other, and it's the homeless and desperate that are on Ratchadomnoen Road, mainly because of the rough sleeping ban they imposed on Sanam Luang, and that's where they tend to stay. They don't stray into this community. This community, a lot of people did lose their jobs recently, and there are people selling their stuff on the street, their belongings. Anyway, I'm going to have a walk down another alleyway. There's a ghost story, potentially. It's been one of those days for 50 shades of weather, if you know what I mean. In Thailand it happens like that. 1 minute it's cloudy, spots of rain, and then the sun comes back out. Anyway, we're heading towards the Giant Swing and Mahachai Road, and the route we're taking is alongside the old city moat now. Atsadang Road runs alongside it. We're going to look at a few bridges over the moat downstream, then we're going to double back, take a left down Bang Mung Roang Road, and then that takes us straight towards the Giant Swing. This is Bang Rung Moang Road, and this street is particularly famous for shops that sell Buddhas, the gold statues. So there's a lot of gold in a lot of shop windows down here. And the other thing that hangs in the air is the smell of spray paint. As a kid, I always wanted to believe that those gold statues were made of gold and not sprayed gold. So it's a bit of a fun reality check for me. Anyway, the Giant Swing is only a couple of 100 meters away down there. The Giant Swing is probably one of the more unusual UNESCO heritage structures. It involved an ancient Brahmin ceremony where guys would swing from the top and attempt to catapult themselves in order to grab a bag of treasure, which was theirs if they could do it. That is not the original structure, but it still stands the same height at 69 foot. Now, I think there must have been a few accidents because of this, as it was abolished in 1935. I've been told you can measure both sides of this building and it will be completely symmetrical up to the last centimetre. That's the way it was designed in 1884 by Italian architects Gioachim Grassi. And the cannons here on the front lawn have been arranged different ways over the years, and they've decided to have them pointing sideways. Superstitious, I think. That's King Rama IV's statue right there, and the palace right behind it. That's Saranaon Palace, home to several princes over the years, and that's where foreign royal guests stay when they're in Thailand. But until 1992, it was home for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And you may have noticed the very strikingly modern white building just behind me here. That's the Privy Council of Thailand, set up in 1874 by King Rama V. In there are the official advisors of the royal family. So behind me on the corner is the Territorial Defence Command. I'm at the junction of Sanam Chai Road and Chalerm Krung Road. Now you will recognise Chalerm Krung Road as one of the oldest and longest streets in the whole city. It stretches from here all the way to Rama 3. The Royal Clock Tower was built at a time when hardly anyone wore a watch. I suppose if you were rich or famous you did. And if you were coming into the city by river, you could look up and see what time it was, because back then everyone needed to know what time it was, unless you were Flavor Flav, of course. That became known as Bangkok time, and the Bangkok time right now is 5:17 p.m. The Museum of Siam was opened in 2007 inside the old Ministry of Commerce building. It's dedicated to the cultural and national identity of Thailand. Getting here is no problem. There's an entrance to Sanam Chai MRT station right in front of it, so you can't beat that for convenience. And I do believe there's a display of artifacts from this area inside the station. So I've got a result. The girlfriend says I can come to Sanam Luang once the sun goes down, because in the past it had a bit of an infamous reputation, so she was a bit edgy about that. Anyway, there are a lot more healthier reasons for this place coming alive after dark. Skateboarders, cyclists, joggers, aerobics, yoga, just general keep fit stuff. Didn't see anyone flying any kites. Maybe I'm getting that mixed up with the infamous reputation. This would be a great place for a first date. You get to see all the sights all lit up at night, and you get a nice coffee and an ice cream. That is about as far as I can make it. I'm trying to cut back through here to Sanam Luang, but all the building work they're doing for the tunnels is blocking it all, and they mostly work at night, so I'm gonna have to double back and find a way out. But I think that's enough for a night's walk, and it's great when you're out and about with no one around and you see all these places lit up, so I do recommend it.